Welcome back, all you awakened savages, and this is the Raising Kings and Queens series, where fathers step up, reclaim ancient rights, and create leaders for the next generation. Now, the last video was on raising kings, our sons. Now, today we're going to look at raising queens, our daughters. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a link in the description. Now, I'll start with a saying that will stick with me forever. Your children might fail to listen to you, but they will never fail to emulate you. Your daughter is watching you, not when you're in the room, but in the patterns that you live. She studies how you treat her mother, how you face challenges. She notices when you keep your word and when you don't. You are her first blueprint for manhood, the reference point she will measure every single man against. And if you don't show her what strength and tenderness looks like, if you don't model respect, presence, and love in action, she will go searching for it in all the wrong places. Now, biologically, your presence is more than comfort. It's a wiring her for life. When she feels safe with you, her nervous system calibrates to trust. Her brain sharpens its decision-making abilities. Her confidence builds within. When that safety is absent, physically or emotionally, her body adapts to survival mode. And in survival mode, this is where poor choices, unsafe partners, and self-doubt take root. Now, psychologically, your voice becomes her inner voice. Speak belief into her. You're capable, you're valuable, you're worthy, and she will carry that wherever she goes. If you speak neglect, criticism, or indifference, she will carry that wound everywhere she goes. Now, spiritually, you hold a role older than civilization, the protector and the guide. Now, in ancient cultures, fathers didn't just provide, they prepared. They gave their daughters wisdom, discernment, and that inner strength to face a world that will eventually test them. Now, today, too many fathers outsource that role to schools, peers, screens, and the result? Record levels of anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and identity confusion among young women that's getting worse by the day. For most of human history, girls didn't walk into womanhood unprepared. There were rites of passage, moments where her community, her elders, and her father marked the transition. Now, not just with celebration, but with wisdom, skills, responsibilities. These rites told her, you have value, you have power, you have a place here. Now, her father's role in that, he was the bridge between innocence and independence, to make sure that she walked into womanhood with a crown, not with chains. Now, from the moment your daughter is born, your presence or your absence shape her brain, her nervous system, and all future relationships. Now, the Harvard Center on the Developing Child shows that consistent, loving paternal engagement strengthens the prefrontal cortex, right? The part of the brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, risk assessment. Now, when a father is engaged and connected, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, rises, creating deep trust and emotional security. Cortisol, the stress hormone, that lowers, making her more resilient under pressure. Now, dopamine pathways, they develop in a healthy way, so she won't need chaos and drama just to feel alive. This isn't just emotional, it's structural. You are literally wiring her confidence, stability, and self-worth. Your voice, your presence, your reliability, these become the architecture she builds her life on. Now, in many ancient cultures, right, from the Lakota to the samurai, right, a father was more than the protector or provider. He was his daughter's first spiritual teacher. He taught her discernment, right, the ability to read character and intent, boundaries, not as walls, but as sacred gates, self-respect, not as a preference, but as spiritual law. Right, his role was to ensure that she understood her divine worth before the world tried to cheapen it. And part of that heritage wasn't just values, it was wisdom transmission. Right? Fathers passed down stories, philosophy, and life lessons from tribal law to warrior codes to the writing of great thinkers. But the message was clear. A queen must feed her mind as well as her heart. And that's the role you play today, to be the curator of truth in this fucking crazy, noisy world. Right? Read with her, discuss with her, share the words of Marcus Aurelius, Lao Tzu, and introduce her to books that helped you on your journey. Right? Teach her that learning isn't just a school thing, it's a life thing. Show her how to set goals that stretch her vision and how to turn them into action. Right? Model the belief that anything is possible, because she'll believe it when she sees it in you. Help her understand the universal law. Your thoughts shape your reality. Right? When she learns that her mind is a creative force, that every belief is a seed, she'll stop waiting for life to happen and start building it with intention. And here's a practical tool that I use with my daughter. Right? Instead of giving her pocket money just to do chores, right? Incentivize wisdom. Right? Ask her to read a specific book or a text, then write a short summary of what she learned. Right? Not as homework, but as a shared journey where you discuss the lessons together and how to apply them in life. Right? This one practice alone, it builds her knowledge because she's actively learning, her confidence because she's articulating ideas, and your bond because you're engaging in growth side by side. Right? In the ancient world, the passing down of wisdom was sacred. In the modern world, right, if you don't take that role, TikTok and Instagram will, and they won't be teaching her how to rule her life. Your mission is to reclaim that right, to be the father who not only loves her, but equips her with the mindset, the tools, and the vision to live her life as a queen. But here's the truth that no one talks about. Right? When a father steps back from his role, whether that's through absence, distraction, or silence, that space does not stay empty. Right? Something else will fill it. And often what steps in will not love her, protect her, or teach her truth. That's when the father wound is born. It's not just about missing dad in the house. It's about missing the guidance, the affirmation, and the wisdom that only he can give. It's about growing up in a world full of noise, but no North Star. And once that wound takes root, it doesn't just shape her, it follows her into every relationship, every decision, every version of herself she will ever become. And let's talk about what that really means. Right? Presence alone is not enough. Right? A father can be physically in the home and still absent in ways that matter most. When a father is distracted, overcritical, controlling, or emotionally shut down, her nervous system switches to survival mode. She learns to guard herself or to chase approval that she never got. Right? If you look at attachment theory, you are the blueprint for how she will give and receive love. If you're safe, consistent, and affirming, she'll trust, open up, and expect respect. If you're unpredictable, dismissive, or critical, she may become anxious in love, constantly seeking reassurance or avoidant, shutting down at the first sign of conflict. Right? Biologically, a fractured bond with you dysregulates her oxytocin and cortisol systems. Even as an adult, intimacy might feel unsafe, even when she deeply wants it. Right? Spiritually, you are the first imprint of the masculine principle: structure, protection, direction. If that imprint is distorted or missing, she may overcompensate by hardening to survive or undercompensating by giving her power away. And this is what lazy people call daddy issues. This is not a joke. Right? It's generational conditioning, psychological imprinting, and social disconnection all rolled up into one. No one else can rewrite that pattern for her like you. This isn't just about parenting. This is about creating legacy, and it starts with the man you choose to be today. Now, every queen is built on a foundation, and it's made of these 8 core pillars that shape her confidence, her boundaries, her self-worth, and the way that she carries herself into this world. Right? These are gifts you, her father, can give her in a way that no one else can. Let's break them down one by one. Right? Number 1, unshakable self-worth. Right? What does that mean? She understands that her value is not negotiable, and it does not depend on beauty, achievements, or other people's opinions. Right? She carries herself with the knowledge that rejection, failure, or aging cannot touch her intrinsic worth. Right? Without self-worth, she will seek worth in dangerous places, toxic relationships, online validation, or achievements that just leave her feeling empty. Now, with it, she becomes unshakable in the face of criticism and immune to cheap approval. So, praise her courage, her kindness, and persistence, not just focused on the results. Right? Avoid making love or attention conditional on performance. Help her set goals for growth, not for proving herself to other people. Right? For example, instead of, saying, I'm proud that you won that race, sweetheart. Right? Say to her, I'm proud that you showed up and gave everything that you had, regardless of the outcome. Okay, number 2, healthy boundaries. Right? What does this mean? It means that she knows her body, her time, her emotions, and her personal space are hers to protect. Right? And she has the right to say no without guilt, pressure, explanation. Right? Without boundaries, she becomes a magnet for manipulation and disrespect. With strong boundaries, she commands respect and maintains her safety in any environment. So, how can we teach this? Right? Respect her no, even in the small things, so that she learns that it's valid. Back her up when others overstep. Show her that boundaries are not walls, they are gates that she controls. Right? For example, a family friend insists on giving her a hug, but she doesn't want to. Right? And they kind of push it again. This is when you step in and you say, listen, she said no, that's final. Right? Please respect her choice. Number 3, emotional intelligence. Right? So what does this mean? It means that she can name and understand her emotions, express them without shame, and read the emotional landscape of others without being pulled under by it. Right? Emotional intelligence, it helps her avoid toxic relationships, manage stress, helps her become a calm problem solver. Now, without it, she may become reactive, defensive, emotionally dependent. So ask her how she feels instead of assuming. Right? Help her connect feelings to triggers and choices. Right? Model emotional regulation during your own hard times and challenges. Right? For example, right, she loses a big competition and you say, listen, sweetheart, I can see you're disappointed. Right? That just means that you care. Now, let's talk about what you learned and how you can improve the next time. Okay? Number 4, critical thinking and discernment. Right? This means that she knows how to assess a situation, questions motives, and verify information before making decisions. Right? She learns not just what to think, but how to think. Right? In an age of misinformation, peer pressure, hidden agendas, discernment is her mental armor. It protects her from scams, manipulation, bad influences. So encourage her to always ask why, even if it challenges her. Right? Talk her through your own decision-making process. Show her how to spot logical fallacies and emotional manipulation. Right? For example, you see this miracle product on TikTok. Right? So say to her, let's look at the real reviews and see if there's actual proof before we believe it. Number 5, financial literacy. Right? What does this mean? It means that she understands how to earn, save, invest, spend, and give wisely. Right? She knows money is a tool, not an identity or a master. Right? Financial confidence, that means freedom. See, without it, she risks dependency, debt traps, and being controlled through money. So give her responsibilities over a set amount of money. Right? Teach budgeting, saving for goals, basic investing. Show her how to identify financial red flags in relationships. So, for example, you give her £50 for a month, right? And you say, listen, you can decide how you use that for fun, for extras, whatever you want. But see, when it's gone, it's gone. And see, at the end of this month, we'll sit down and we'll talk about it and see how it went. Okay, number 6, self-defense and physical confidence. Right, this means that she can protect herself physically and moves with a confident, alert presence that discourages threats. Because predators target uncertainty. When she's trained, she's not just safer, she feels safer, which changes her energy and the way that others respond to her. So get her enrolled in a martial arts class, boxing, self-defense. Right, teach her situational awareness, how to scan the environment. Right, encourage sports or activities that build strength and coordination. Okay, so, just an example, get her signed up for, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. Right, get her signed up. And my daughter was against it. She didn't want to do it. But see, when I sat down and explained to her why, she understood. And then she started to attend. Okay, number 7, resilience and adaptability. Right, this means that she can recover from setbacks without losing her sense of self. And she knows how to adapt when the shit hits the fan or life takes a bad turn. Right, resilience means that she can face rejection, failure, heartbreak without being destroyed by them. Right, and adaptability means that she can, pivot towards new opportunities instead of getting stuck in the old shit. So share your own failures and recoveries. Right, praise effort, not perfection. Let her solve problems before you step in to rescue her. Right, number 8, purpose and service. Right, this means that she understands that her life has meaning beyond herself, and she seeks ways to contribute to something greater than herself. Could be her community, humanity, the planet. Right, purpose gives her a reason to get up with excitement every morning. Service keeps her connected to compassion, humility, gratitude. Right, show her examples of meaningful work and service. Right, get her involved in volunteer projects, missions. Help her connect her skills and her passion to causes that she cares about. Right, you could go and spend a weekend helping at a local food bank. Let her see and feel what it's like to be part of helping others. Right, the bottom line here is these pillars are not just concepts. Right, they are bricks of her foundation. If they're strong, she will rise no matter what storm comes. But here's the thing, you're not the first father to walk this road. For thousands of years, men have been passing down the skills, wisdom, and the rights that shape daughters into women who can stand tall in this world. It's in these traditions that we find the roots of our role as a father. Now, for most of human history, fathers didn't guess their way through raising daughters. They had traditions, time tested frameworks to guide the process. And these weren't soft, passive rituals. No, they were intentional initiations designed to prepare her mind, her heart, and her spirit for the life ahead. Right, in many indigenous cultures, from the Lakota in North America to the Maori in New Zealand, right, a girl's transition to womanhood wasn't left by chance. When she reached a certain age, the women of the tribe taught her the sacred knowledge of womanhood. But her father's role was just as equally as important. He would stand before the community and publicly affirm her value. He'd tell her and everyone else exactly who she was, what she was capable of, and why she mattered to the tribe. This moment wasn't just symbolic, it anchored her identity in a collective memory. Years later, if she ever doubted herself, she would remember, my father told the world who I am. Right, and then in Japan, daughters of the samurai families, they taught Onabugisha, right, the female warrior path. They learned weaponry, strategy, how to defend their home in their father's absence. Right, but it wasn't just for the strength, they were also taught poetry, tea ceremony, and calligraphy. Why? Because the samurai knew strength isn't just force, it's balance. A woman anchored in both skill and grace is unbreakable. And that's the lesson that every modern father can pass on. Your daughter doesn't have to choose between being strong and being soft. She can be both. Right, and if you look at in the ancient Vedic culture, the father was responsible for introducing his daughter to her dharma, her unique life path and purpose. Right, before marriage or independence, he'd guide her to the understanding universal laws. Right, the law of cause and effect, karma. What you do comes back. Right, the law of correspondence, your inner world creates your outer world. The law of polarity, life's opposites exist to teach balance. These were not abstract ideas, they were applied in daily life. If she spoke harshly, he'd guide her to see the ripple it caused. If she faced challenge, he'd help her find the lesson hidden amongst it. Okay, and across these cultures, fathers weren't distant figures. They were active participants in preparing their daughter for life, teaching discernment in relationships, how to read character, detect dishonor, and choose trustworthy allies, passing down family stories, victories, failures, so that they inherited both wisdom and warning. Right, blessing her in public, making it known to the community that this woman has my protection, my respect, and my pride. Right, this wasn't symbolic, it was the transfer of authority and belief that gave her permission to own her place in this world. Why this matters today? Right, our modern culture has all but erased these rights. Instead of intentional guidance, daughters are initiated by social media algorithms, influence who value clicks over character, peer pressure that pushes instant gratification over long-term vision. See, without intentional rights, girls enter adulthood with no roadmap and often no inner compass. So it's time to bring these rights back, us as modern fathers. We don't have to do a copy and paste, but we can take the essence of these traditions and reimagine them for the modern world. Right, mark milestones, birthdays, graduations, first jobs. Use them as moments to bless her with words of confidence and vision for her life. Teach and train. Pass on real world skills, financial literacy, self-defense, public speaking, negotiation. Right? These are modern equivalents of survival skills. Ritualize respect. Find consistent ways to affirm her identity, not just in private, but in front of others, so she hears and feels that her worth is recognized publicly. Right? And spiritual mentorship. Share universal laws, faith traditions, moral codes that anchor her when life gets chaotic and mad. Right? These ancient rites work because they were practiced, not just spoke about. They were lived daily in the way that fathers spoke, acted, prepared their daughters. And that's where we're going to go next. We're going to step into the practical, repeatable tools that every single modern day father can use to raise a daughter who doesn't just survive in this world, but walks into it like a queen she was born to be. But here are the 8 essential tools, right? One for each of the foundations we discussed earlier, and exactly how to use them so they become part of her life. Tool number 1, the daily affirmation ritual, which is for self-worth. Anchor her sense of worth in your voice, right? So she hears it louder than the noise of the world. So choose a daily moment. It could be breakfast, taking her to school, at bedtime. Look her in the eye and affirm something specific you see in her. Focus on her character, her effort and values, not looks or achievements. Right? The brain literally wires itself around repeated messages. So daily affirmations from you become her inner voice. Tool number 2, the boundaries practice. Right? Teach her that saying no is not rude. It's self-respect in action. Role play scenarios she might face. Right? A friend pressuring her to skip school. A boy ignoring her no. right? A boss asking her to work unpaid for experience, right? Practice confident tone, posture, eye contact. Teach her short, clear boundary phrases like no, or no, that doesn't work for me, right? Understand you want that, but my answer's no, right? Confident, assertive, right? Boundaries are like muscles. They get stronger the more that you use them. By practicing in a safe place, she builds a reflex that she can use under pressure. Tool number 3, emotional mapping. This is for the emotional intelligence. Help her identify, understand, and manage her emotions without being overwhelmed by them. So when she's upset, ask, what are you feeling right now? Right? Where do you feel that in your body? Right? Help her name the emotion: sad, angry, anxious, disappointed, and explore what caused it, and then brainstorm healthy responses. Because when she can name her emotions, she's less likely to be hijacked by them. It gives her the power to choose her response instead of reacting blindly. Right, tool number 4, critical thinking drill. This is for discernment. Train her to question, investigate, and see through the manipulation or hidden agendas. So once a week, pick something, right? It could be something on TikTok, a news clip, an ad, whatever it is, and ask 3 questions. What are they trying to make you feel? What's their goal? Right? Where's the proof? Right? Discuss how appearances can differ from reality. Right? She learns to slow down, question motives, and avoid being swayed by pressure or flattery. Right? Number 5, the money conversation, financial literacy. Right? Give her confidence with money so that she can be independent and never trapped in a bad situation. So give her age appropriate responsibilities with a small budget. Show her how to budget, save, invest, and give. Teach her the difference between needs, wants, and investments. Right? Financial literacy means that she'll never have to stay in a relationship or a job just to survive. Right? And use what I said earlier about giving her the £50 a month and see how it goes. Right, tool number 6, strength training and self-defense. This is the physical confidence. Right, equip her with skills and the presence to protect herself and feel confidence in any space. Get her enrolled in martial arts, boxing, self-defense. If possible, train alongside her so that it's a shared journey. Right, encourage her to walk tall, make eye contact, and project confidence. Right, predators often avoid confident targets. Physical capability changes how she sees herself and how the world sees her. Okay, tool number 7, the bounce back ritual, reliance and adaptability. Right, teach her to recover from setbacks stronger than before. Right, so after any failure, walk her through these 3 steps. Acknowledge the loss without sugarcoating it. Right, extract the lesson or skill gained. Adjust the approach for next time. Right, share your own stories of bouncing back. Right, resilience is learned and practiced by reframing setbacks as training, not defeat. Okay, and the last one, the purpose project. Right, root her identity and contribution, not just consumption. Right, choose a cause together. Something she might be passionate about: animals, environment, mentoring young girls. Right, commit regular time to serve. Encourage her to lead parts of the project. Right, purpose and service connect her to something bigger than herself. Right, building humility and empathy. Okay, so each tool is a brick in the foundation of a queen, right? Use them as much as possible, and you won't be just raising a daughter, you'll be raising a force of nature. Okay, and let's look at spiritual universal law, right? Whether you speak it openly or not, your daughter will learn a spiritual code from you. The only question is, will she learn a code that empowers her or one that leaves her lost? Okay, because fathers of old knew this, from the Stoics to the samurais. Fathers were not just providers, they were the initiators into the laws of life. These laws weren't rules written in a book, they were principles that explained how the world worked and how to move through it with power and grace. Now, today, these teachings have been diluted, mocked, or lost, right? But if you don't teach her universal law, TikTok, Instagram will teach her its own laws, right? So right, let's look at 5 laws that every queen should know and how you, her father, can pass them on in ways that she'll remember. Right, the first one is the law of cause and effect. Right, every action has a consequence and every choice writes the next chapter of her life. So when she's at a crossroads, don't just tell her what to do. Walk her through why each choice matters. Help her forecast not just the immediate payoff, but the long-term ripple effect. Right, so for example, she's tempted to skip studying for this big exam because all her friends are going out to this party. And you ask her, what happens if you choose comfort now? Right? What happens if you choose discipline? Right? She then sees the differences and she chooses discipline. learning that small sacrifices can build big, massive futures. Okay, number 2, the law of correspondence. As within, so without. Her outer life will always mirror her inner world. Right? When she's upset, don't dismiss it. Help her notice how her inner state colours everything she perceives. Show her that if she wants her circumstances to improve, she must first tend to her mindset and her emotions. Right? She comes home furious, right? Saying that everyone was mean to me at school today. And then you say to her, okay, sweetheart, see, before you left this house this morning, how were you feeling when you walked out that door? She realises that she was already in a bad mood, anxious, guarded, right? And then she learns that changing her inner state often changes the way that the world responds. Number 3, the law of vibration. Everything is energy, right? The energy that she carries determines the quality of people, opportunities, and experience she will attract. Right, so model high standards for your own circle. Explain why you don't keep people around who drain you or disrespect you. Right, for example, she's hanging out with this friend who's constantly criticising her. So you say to her, okay, honey, listen, I want you to notice how you feel before you're with her, and I want you to notice how you feel after you're with her, because your feeling is your compass. Right, so then she realises that when she leaves this person, she's feeling drained and, just negative. But she wasn't feeling that way before she met her. So then she begins to choose relationships based on how they make her feel, not just history or obligation. Okay, number 4, the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite, right? Every challenge carries an equal opportunity. When she faces loss or rejection, help her look for the hidden gift. Not to deny the pain, but to see the full picture. Right? For example, she doesn't make the dance team. She's devastated. Right? You sit with her. Right? You validate the pain. Then you say, what door does this close? But more importantly, what door might this open? Right? And she realizes that she's wanted to do martial arts, but the dance class has been stopping her from doing it. So now she gets the opportunity to sign up for martial arts and finds this new passion for strength training. Okay? Number 5, the law of gender. This is not male or female, but the balance of masculine and feminine energies. Right? Life requires both structure and flow. Right? And she holds both of them within herself. Show her that it's powerful to set boundaries and to soften and to trust when the situation is safe. Model the balance in your own behaviour. Right? For example, she overhears you negotiating firmly on a business call in your office, but then you come into the room where everyone's sitting and you're fully present, playful, and loving with your family. When she experiences something like that, she learns that true strength is the ability to shift energies consciously and not live in one extreme. Right? When you give her these laws, you're giving her more than knowledge. You're giving her tools to navigate the world. She'll know how to see patterns others miss. She'll know that life is not random chaos. It's a dance that she can lead with awareness. Right? That's what separates a girl the world pushes around from a queen who chooses her own path. Right? Your daughter will see herself through your eyes long before she ever sees herself through her own. You are her first mirror, the first reflection of her worth, her beauty, her power, and her place in this world. Right? When she laughs and you light up, she learns she is joy. When she succeeds and you celebrate her effort, not just the result, she learns she is capable. When she fails and you stay there in support, she learns she is safe. Right? And when you live by the same principles you teach, the laws that we spoke about earlier, she sees not just the words, but the proof. Right? Your daughter's identity is shaped far more by how you live than what you say. If you tell her to have high standards, but she sees you tolerate disrespect in your own life, she'll remember the example, not the speech. If you tell her to be confident, but you shrink every time life gets hard, she'll learn that confidence is a mask, not reality. If you tell her to value herself, but constantly put yourself last, she'll inherit that self-neglect. If you tell her to strengthen her body and eat right, but you're overweight, eating junk food and drinking alcohol every single night, she'll learn that your words don't match your actions. Right? If you tell her to respect herself, but she watches you disrespect her mother and other women, she'll learn that respect is just something people say, not something they live. Right? And if you tell her she can achieve anything, but she never sees you set goals, push yourself, or follow through, she'll learn that dreams are just stories adults tell, not blueprints to build from. Right? You are her first imprint of what healthy masculine energy feels like. Right? Protection without control, direction without dominance, right? Strength without coldness. When she feels that from you, she won't settle for anything less from anyone else. She'll know the difference between presence and possession, between love and dependency. Right, let's step into your field mission this week. This week, you have one mission. Show your daughter through action that she is worth the best the world has to offer and nothing less. Right, so choose one of the pillars we discussed earlier. Create an experience around it. If it's self-worth, take her somewhere meaningful and tell her what you see in her. Not just her beauty, but her strength, her courage, her intelligence. If it's self-defense, take her to a class or teach her a simple skill that she can feel safe in her body. Right, when you make these lessons tangible, they become part of her nervous system, not just her memory. She doesn't just hear she's valuable, she feels it. She doesn't just know about boundaries, she practiced them. She doesn't just learn self defense, she carries that embodied confidence into every single room she enters. Right? In universal law, you're planting seeds in fertile soil. Every experience like this raises her vibration, anchors her in a higher standard, and sets her cause in motion, and it will ripple into her future relationships, her career, and her family. You are literally co-authoring the reality that she will step into. Right, before this week ends, complete one pillar experience with her. Then write her a short letter about why you chose it and what you see in her. Seal it and tell her to keep it for one of those days where she forgets how powerful she is. Right? Because one day you won't be there to remind her. But if you do this right, she won't need you to. Right? The crown will already be firmly on her head. Now, if this message hit your heart, right, it's because you already know her future is being written right now in the way that you show up. Right? This isn't about one daughter, one family. It's about the next generation of leaders, mothers, and visionaries. Right? This is why I created the Raising Kings and Queens series, to give fathers the tools, the wisdom, and the brotherhood we need to raise children who are strong in spirit, sharp in mind, and unshakable in worth. Right? Your words become their inner voice. Your actions become their map. So make it count. Right? Pass this on to another father, because every king needs a crown and every queen needs her throne. So here's what I want you to do next. First, drop a comment below with one thing that you're committing to teach your daughter this week. Right? And if you have a son, go back and watch the Raising Kings episode. The link will be in the description. Second, hit the like button so this message reaches more fathers who need to hear it. And finally, if you want to be part of this journey with me and this brotherhood, subscribe, because we're building a tribe of men who aren't just raising kids, we are creating legacies. And as always, I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with me on this journey, for getting to me at this point. I love you guys. I truly do. I don't think you realise how much your interactions, your comments, you being with me on this journey means to me. So thank you. I love you guys. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one. Got a video here and you can subscribe here. Take care.